Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. So today I'm going to be starting another new free-to-play series for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I actually did this a couple of years ago and had a lot of fun doing it, and it ended up being one of my more popular series on the channel. So I decided to make an updated version of my free-to-play guide showing you how to take a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel account that is brand new and not only get some meta decks, but rank up fairly quickly. We're going to be covering that in this series here. I'm going to go ahead and link my old series down below if you're interested in checking that out. But this is definitely going to be a more updated version. Like I said, that one was a couple of years ago. So I've made a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel account here. Already went ahead and skipped a couple of the tutorials, so that way we can go straight to one of the first things that I think some new players will kind of have questions about, which is choosing one of these decks here. Now, regardless of if you're a new or returning player, I intend for this series to be useful to both, because even if you have already been playing Master Duel for quite some time, then it's still very beneficial to start new accounts sometimes to maximize your gems and try out new decks without having to spend any money to do so. So regardless if you're new or returning, this series should be helpful to you either way. Now, for those of you who are brand new to Master Duel and in turn this channel, again, my name is Hexlex, welcome. I have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty much since the beginning of its release in the United States. I have been to many tournaments, both in real life and attended many Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel tournaments as well, and I've made top cut in a lot of those tournaments as well. So trust me when I say you're in good hands. But anyway, choosing your deck. Now, this might seem like a pretty big decision, but I'll tell you right now that this ultimately does not really matter that much in the long run, which of these decks you pick. None of them really have that many standout cards, so don't stress about this too much. However, I will say that I think there is a best choice here, which is Power of the Dragon, because Power of the Dragon has 2 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is actually tiered. A Blue Eyes White Dragon is used in a tier 2 deck. A very competitive deck, for those of you who might not know what tiers are. If you ever have any questions, by the way, at any point about anything related to the competitive scene, I'm going to link some resources in the description below as well, including my own Discord server, the Hexlex Plex. There are hundreds of us there, and we're always eager and welcome to new players to help them out into the competitive scene. But yeah, so Power of the Dragon, like I said, has 2 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is actually used in a competitive deck. So I'll go ahead and pick this one. I don't know if I'm going to be playing Blue Eyes White Dragon for this account yet, but better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, I say. Alright, let's just make this Hexlex free to play. Alright, I'm going to skip this download of 10 gigabytes, and I will be back momentarily. Okay, we're all set with that download, so let's go ahead and fire up the game here. Alright, it's going to kick us into the menu. Tell us about the home page a little bit. Okay. Now, we do start off with 1,000 gems right off the bat. That was from the tutorial. But of course, in order to get most of your gems, you're going to go down here into missions. And don't worry about festivals or daily. The main thing you're going to start with is going to all missions, and you can always just click receive all to get everything here. But when you're first starting off a new account, you'll get tons of gems just for like basically, you know, following along and doing basic things here with the tutorial. So like fighting secret packs, as you can see here, winning duels in solo mode. We'll go into all this here shortly. But all right, so this is where things might seem a little bit overwhelming, especially if you are new to Master Duel. The game kind of kicks you in. You might wonder, okay, so do I go straight into, you know, ranked ladder to play against other players here? This is the game basically just telling you about that. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that. We're going to work on our deck at least slightly first. Of course, in order to get new cards, we're going to want to go down to the shop here. Now, there are some things about the shop, in particular the Duel Pass, that I think this is really, really worth it. But I don't know if I'm going to necessarily spend my first 700 gems on it. But it's worth noting that the Duel Pass will refund you not only the 700 gems that you spent on it, but you also get 100 UR craft points, as well as some cosmetics like a mate and a background here. So the Duel Pass is pretty much always worth it. Of course, you should note how many days are left on the Duel Pass, and you know, of course, you got to figure that you're going to complete it within that amount of time. But I do think the Duel Pass is pretty much always worth it. I'm not going to go for it right away, though, because I want to build up my collection at least a little bit first. So still here under specials, we're going to go to Bundle Deal. And this is where I think a lot of the value, especially in the early game, comes, are these bundle deals. They're 750 gems each. You get an exclusive promo card. Well, not exclusive, but you get a guaranteed card in addition to 10 master packs. Now, these guaranteed cards are all pretty good. They're all what I would call staple cards. Staple cards are cards that can go into any deck and are good in a lot of situations and don't require you to be playing any kind of specific deck in order to use them. In terms of which of these I think are best, I would say that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, the one I just clicked on, this is definitely the best one. You'll play 3 of this card in just about literally every single Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Not exaggerating when I say 95% of Yu-Gi-Oh decks, you'll play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. The Infinite Impermanence one is another great place to start. Another very powerful staple card. I'd say I probably put this in at least 75% of my decks. And I would say a similar figure can be said for Nibiru, the Primal Being. So those 3 are the ones you'll definitely want to start with here. So I'm actually going to start with the Ash Blossom one. Before I open it, though, I want to talk a little bit more about packs. So the kinds of packs that come with the bundle are Master Packs. Master Packs include literally every single card in the game, save for some that are in the Legacy Packs. We'll talk about those in a second. For that reason, I don't advise ever buying these straight up. They do come with the bundles, like I mentioned, and that's fine. You can just, obviously we're going to open those anyway. But if you're just buying packs straight up, never buy the Master Pack, because you can always be pulling for a specific deck that you want. For example, if you wanted to play one of the newest meta decks, you could open the Detonate Top Speed Selection Pack. That's going to have Ryziel, which is one of the best decks in the current Master Duel meta. There's also the Struggle in Wonderland pack has Malice, another one of the top decks currently in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. But even if you don't want to play a competitive deck, even if you are looking to play a more casual deck, there are still other secret packs that you can open in order to find those. We'll talk about those in just one moment here. The last kind of pack is Legacy Packs, which we haven't gotten any yet, but these you'll earn as part of missions, and just generally playing as rewards for playing at Ranked Ladder and such. These cards are not found in the other pack, but you get enough of these over a lifetime that I wouldn't really worry about any of the cards in this pack. They're also not the most competitive either, so the main thing to know about Legacy Packs is it's worth noting the UR cards that come in Legacy Packs, because you generally speaking don't want to craft these, because you're gonna get free Legacy Packs the entire time you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. You'll get these cards for free eventually, so it's worth looking at this list here, and if you see a card that you're thinking about crafting, just wait to pull it for free, honestly. But anyway, like I said, we're going to start off with some bundle deals. And like I said, I want to start off with Ash Blossom, because I think this is definitely the best one. Okay, so when you're opening packs, you'll see them glow like this. And the main thing that you're looking for is if they're glowing rainbow. We don't have any glowing rainbow ones here, but packs that are glowing rainbow contain guaranteed UR cards. UR cards, or ultra rare, are the highest rarity, and as such, the ones you're going to want to prioritize. And look at that, we actually pulled an ultra rare card right off the bat, and it even came in a glossy finish. Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is actually a really good staple generic card to have, a very good first UR to pull, but yeah, you have URs, which are the hardest to pull. When it comes to the pull rate, you can generally expect 2 to 3 UR cards for every 10 packs you open. So if we get 2 or 3 URs, that's about an average rate. If this is the only one we pull, I'd consider that a little bit below average, but sometimes you're not even going to get a guaranteed UR at all. Sometimes you might open 10 packs and have no URs. Then there is SR, which you don't have any here, and then R, and then N. Alright, we're going to keep opening these packs here. These packs might end up determining what the first deck I try to build is, but I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be the case yet or not. But like I said, Master Packs could contain just about literally anything in the game that's not in a Legacy pack, so... Now if you see a card shake like that, that means it's going to be either an SR or a UR. And yeah, here's an SR here. It's going to have this little orange tab here. SRs are a little bit more difficult to come by, but I think they're frequent enough that I generally dismantle and craft them pretty freely. It's mainly UR cards that you do want to be stingy with. I'll get into more that kind of economy when we get into deck building, but for the time being, we're just going to open packs and see what we get. The Underworld Goddess, like I said, is a pretty generic card. Doesn't push us in any clear direction. Sacred Double Knight of King Artorias. This card, I don't think is actually even really used in Double Knight that much. So I'll probably end up dismantling this one. When it comes to knowing whether or not to dismantle a UR card, at the end of the day, that is going to come down to 2 major factors. One, knowing what you want to play. So even though King Artorias isn't the most competitive card in the world, if I'm really interested in playing like a pure Noble Knight deck, then yeah, I'd hang on to this. But 2, of course, the other factor is being into the competitive game and knowing which cards are generally good to use or not. And that will more often than not come from both research and experience. But again, if you ever want some help and just want to throw up a picture of a UR card and be like, hey, is this good? Should I keep it or get rid of it? Again, check out the description below for an invite to our Discord server. Folks there, including myself, are always happy to help out. But let's keep opening and see what we get. I don't really want to build a Noble Knight deck, so like I said, I'll probably just end up dismantling that King Artorias card. Okay, now here we end up pulling a Royal card. That's actually kind of funny that we got this here in our first 10 pack, so I can kind of explain it in a tutorial fashion. But a Royal, as you can see, has this nice little cosmetic effect. But not only that, a card that is Royal will actually dismantle for full value. Normally, if you dismantle a card, it'll only give you 10 craft points, whereas it costs 30 to craft a card. SR, UR, each rarity has its own craft point. So normally if I dismantled an SR card, it would give me 10 SR craft points, but if I dismantled this Royal one, it would actually give me 30. So that's always worth noting. But of course, Royal cards are very, very rare. So generally speaking, I like to keep them because I think they're cool, but always up to you, the player, whether or not you want to keep or dismantle. Okay, let's see if we find any more good UR cards in these upcoming packs here. Now, the other thing to note, too, is that you're going to be opening a lot of packs, even on a free-to-play account, like a lot, especially right at the beginning. So, I've seen some players kind of fall into this trap where they open their first 10 packs, and they're like, alright, these 10 packs are going to decide what deck I play for, you know, my entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel account. And that definitely does not have to be the case. We can always change pretty freely. Okay, so here's our first 10 pack. So, 2... and our Ash Blossom of Joy Spring, of course, the best part. So 2 UR cards and a Royal SR, that's not bad. That's definitely not bad for a 10-pack. I would consider this about average. Okay, so we still have 770 gems. We can still grab another one of these here. I'm going to grab the Infinite Permanence one. Again, I think this card is very, very good and will be played in the vast majority of my decks, so... Okay, here's a pack that's glowing rainbow. This means this pack is going to guarantee to have a UR card. I've seen some people say that packs that glow yellow or cards that glow yellow are guaranteed to be SRs, but that's not actually the case. I've had packs that glow yellow that contain no SRs, and yeah. But I think if a card glows yellow, it might actually guarantee to be an SR. That one might be true. The main thing, again, to watch for is just the rainbow glow. That's the only one that really guarantees anything important, which is a UR. Hey, speaking of a UR, we got another one here, and another Royal. Wow. Got a Royal Hela Generator Boss of Doom. And then for a UR, we got Subterra Behemoth Fiendus. Unfortunately, while Subterra is actually a pretty solid deck, I don't think it actually plays this card. But 2 Royals, even though they're only SRs, is still pretty lucky for, you know, having opened so few packs. Alright, here's another UR. It's going to be Wake Up Your Elemental Hero. Now, funnily enough, in my last free-to-play account, I actually built Heroes, which is one of the more expensive decks in Master Duel. But again, I haven't decided for sure what I'm going to build for this account just yet. I'm leaning towards just going for Ryziel, you know, the latest deck in the new selection pack, but we'll see. Ooh, now sometimes a pack that isn't glowing can upgrade its glow. Sometimes it can even upgrade from no glow at all to rainbow. But again, I don't think yellow glow guarantees anything in particular. Although this time it did give us an SR. One thing to note about rarity as well is that rarity does not always indicate power level. Like, we pulled that Noble Knight card, for example, which I was like, oh, this card isn't very good. Not every UR card is going to be, you know, broken or really, really good. And similarly, not every normal card is going to be, you know, really bad or unplayable. Now, I will say, in more recent times, it does seem like Konami's tending to make the better cards higher rarity. But that's not always the case. It certainly wasn't when the game first came out. Okay. I think we've pulled... Have we pulled 2 URs? Or was it just the one? That's 2, right? I don't remember. We'll see at the end here. So far, though, I'd say our luck is actually a little bit below average, even though we have gotten a couple of Royals, and that's kind of cool. They're not, like, cards that I'm going to be playing probably at all, so... Alright, still got one more pack after this one to hopefully pull at least one more UR. I generally like to get at least 3. I mean, you can't control it, obviously, but 3 URs from 10 packs would be ideal for an average, but it's probably not going to happen. Okay, no, we did get another UR. Ooh, Medolce Queen Tiara Frasi. I'm sure I butchered that. I really like Medolce's. The deck is, it's fine. I wouldn't say it's great, but it is good. And this card is definitely played in it. So I might hang on to that. Okay, so we did get 3 URs and a Royalette. Okay, so I can't complain about this too much. And of course, we did also get our infinite permanents. Now, you might have noticed, I should have pointed this out in the last one, but as we've been opening these packs, you'll see that we've been unlocking these things called secret packs. Secret packs are something that I alluded to earlier. These are similar to selection packs I talked about earlier, but they're a lot more focused in what cards they give you. If you ever want to check what cards a pack gives you, you can go over to featured cards. Because if you go to cards included in this pack, you're going to get a huge list. That's because secret packs are set up in such a way where you'll open 4 cards that are from any pack and then 4 cards that are from the featured cards. And the featured cards are going to be, you know, more in line with the pack's theming, right? So for example, for the hero pack, you're a lot more likely to get hero cards. But this is why I say it's not worth opening master packs, because you can always get a secret pack for, generally speaking, whatever deck you're looking for. Alright, so now that we've opened those, we've unlocked a few other missions. We'll go ahead and click Receive All, and that gives us another 800 gems, which, funnily enough, is enough to open another one of those bundles. So the next bundle... Oh, hang on. I clicked solo mode by accident. We will talk about this momentarily, but I want to go back to the shop first. Now, as mentioned before, the next bundle that I think is definitely worth going into is the Nibiru bundle. Nibiru the Primal being another staple card that will be played in like probably 50 to 75% of your decks. I play this card a lot, personally, but yeah, let's go ahead and crack open this one as well. Wow, this looks rough. 1 glowing yellow pack, no rainbow packs. This is going to be brutal. I mean, to be fair, you can still get UR cards from packs that aren't glowing. We did see a couple of examples of that, but not looking the best for us here. Yeah, nothing outstanding so far. I'm looking not just for URs, but even normal or rarer SR cards that are, you know, generally useful. But even in that case, we're not hitting too well here on this one, unfortunately. Now, at the end of the day, even if we don't get anything from these packs, it was still worth spending the gems to get the Nibiru, in my opinion. The card is very good, and it is a UR. All of the cards that are, like, part of the bundles here are URs. So getting a guaranteed, not only just getting a guaranteed UR, but also getting a guaranteed UR that is a really good card you will play in the majority of your decks is always going to be worth it. And also, to be fair, you're getting 10 packs for 750 gems, which is better than the, you know, going rate of 100 gems per pack, or 1,000 gems per 10 packs. That is another tip I'll give you when it comes to opening packs. You really want to be opening 10 packs. Don't ever buy singles, because if you don't hit any UR cards in a 10 pack, then you are guaranteed a UR in your next 10 pack. However, if you're only opening singles, you don't get that pity system. So don't ever buy packs 100 gems at a time. Just save until you can spend 1,000 on a 10 pack. Now, I don't think the UR pity rule actually applies to bundles, so we're probably not going to see that here, but okay. You got a glow upgrade, but it was only to yellow, so doesn't mean there's going to be a UR in here. There could be, but not guaranteed. No. Alright, was it one more pack? Yeah, one more pack here. Oh, look at that. They gave us one UR at the very end here. Divine Domain Batistina. Tistina is a cool archetype, but cool does not always mean good, unfortunately. I don't think Tistina is horrible, but I don't think it's a particularly good archetype. It's not something I would recommend if you're trying to get into the game competitively. It's not a deck I would recommend beginning with. So we did at least get one UR, though, so that's good. And of course, we got the Nibiru as well. Alright, let's see if that unlocked any more missions for us. It looks like it did. See how many gems that mission gets. It's another 200. Okay, so it looks like from here on, some of the best ways to earn gems are going to be to find more secret packs, as well as dueling in solo mode. Just again, looking at the missions that we've got here. So let's talk about solo mode a little bit. If we go over to solo mode, we can do either stories or training and challenges. Stories are going to be honestly what you're mainly interested in. Not only because these are actually kind of cool, telling the lore behind the cards, but if we click play here, these are all of the different gates. And once you get to the last one, if you clear the gate by playing your own deck, you actually get a reward of 200 gems. That's not just true of this one either. That's true of literally all of these. And some of them, like the dual terminal ones, actually have multiple, like terminal world, right? This has multiple stories within the story. And each one of these, as well as each one of these, will give you 200 gems. So if you ever find yourself at a point where you are low on gems and you need to get some more, always come to solo mode first. I mean, this is what? 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 times 200, that's 36. 3,600 gems. Here's another 8, so that's what? 4,400? So yeah, if you clear all these out, you're looking at, and I think there's even another one of these that has multiple stories within it. I think you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 gems, but what I might end up doing here, because if we take a look again at the mission for Lifetime, is to simply duel in solo mode. So I might do a little bit of that off screen, but before I do that, I actually do also want to go into the shop again and talk about another really good starting off point, which is structure decks. So structure decks are 500 gems a pop, and they provide not just, a few cards like a pack does, but they actually do give you not only a full 40 card deck, but they give you a nice little bit of an extra deck here as well. As you can see, quite a few of these have UR cards as well, which is always worth noting. So I'm probably going to start off with a structure deck going into ranked ladder, but I'll do some solo mode first. As far as which of these I'm going to pick, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and earn those gems by doing a little bit of solo mode first. I'm going to do that off screen real quick, and then we'll come back to this screen and talk about this a little bit more. Okay, we are back. So what I did was basically I went into solo mode. I went through the stories here, didn't actually finish any of them or even duel any of them. I just did practice. So I went ahead and did that for, again, I went into stories and I went through each of these, hit play, and went up to the practice, but didn't actually do the duel. This is a great way of getting the gems from the missions without actually having to duel, for the lifetime missions, that is. So yeah, if we go back over to mission, you can see I got 21 now. One of them was the daily for doing solo modes, and the rest are lifetime for solo modes. That's because the practices actually do count as winning a duel in solo mode. So let's just go ahead and receive all here. And as you can see, that got us a lot of really good materials. Not only do we now have 3,000 gems, but we also have a bunch of UR craft points on top of that as well, including 100 UR craft points, which is going to be fairly important for whichever deck we choose to build. Speaking of which, let's go back into the shop here, and let's hone in on a structure deck. So when it comes to these structure decks, I actually recommend buying 3 of them at a time and not just the one. As you can see, each of them has 3 times remaining. And that's because each of these will have a bunch of good cards, but it'll likely only have 1 or 2 copies of a lot of significant cards. Like this one only has 1 copy of Vision Resonator, but this deck definitely wants 3 copies of Vision Resonator. So now here's the big question I'm sure a lot of you are thinking. Which of these is the best? Which structure deck is the best one to start off with? And I don't think there's necessarily any one best, but I'll go ahead and point out some of the most standout ones. The Heroes Union deck is actually very, very good if you're looking to get into a competitive hero deck. While it doesn't provide every single UR card that you need, it does provide a lot of them. And actually, one of the ones that we need, Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, is a part of this deck. Well, it's not part of this structure deck, but it's a part of the competitive hero deck. So if you like heroes or are interested in them as a competitive deck, I think this is one of the better ones you can pick. Another deck that I think is quite good and roughly equal power level is actually one of the older ones, the Salamandrate structure deck, which is the one that I went with during my original free-to-play run. Now, the thing that I really like about this deck in particular is that it comes with Signet Mining, which is very, very good for not just this deck, but Cyber decks in general. Salamandrate is also a fairly easy deck to play. It is Link, focused, which Link summons might seem a little intimidating if you've never used them before. But if you follow along with the tutorials that are provided not only in the game's tutorial, but in story modes, practice runs, then it'll give you a lot of familiarity with a lot of different kinds of strategies and summoning. And Salamandrate, at the end of the day, you can throw in Access Code Talker and Update Jammer, and that'll carry you pretty far. Again, that's actually what we did in our last free-to-play run. So if you're interested in checking that out, again, link in the description below. But I kind of want to do something a little bit different this time, so I don't know if I'm going to necessarily pick that one. Another really good structure deck here is the Crimson Power Force, which might actually end up being the one that I pick. It's a pretty good synchro-focused deck, although I will say I think it is slightly lower power level than the other ones that I mentioned. Now, there is the Blue Eyes deck, but I will say this about the Blue Eyes deck. It might seem like a good pick because Blue Eyes is currently a tiered deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Tiered means it's one of the best decks. I call it Tier 2. But the thing about the Blue Eyes Max deck here is that it actually doesn't really have that many cards that you end up using in the competitive Blue Eyes deck, like especially the URs. Like, yeah, it's got a copy of Blue Eyes, but again, if you pick the Power of the Dragon starter deck, you've already got 2 copies of Blue Eyes, and you don't need that. But yeah, Alternative White Dragon, Abyss Dragon, Jet Dragon, and Chaos Max Dragon are not always, or really ever, played in the competitive Blue Eyes deck. Jet Dragon is sometimes as a one-of, but it's very optional, and most builds don't include it. You don't play Melody of Awakening, so yeah, I think this structure deck is pretty optional. Yeah, I think that of these, those are going to be your best bets, honestly. Heroes Union, Crimson Power Force, Burning Spirits are probably going to be the best 3. I think Blackwing's Pride is also, like, fine. It's not bad, but I don't think Blackwing is quite as good as some of the other decks that I mentioned. I'm still a little bit on the fence of actually which of these decks I want to go with. What I might actually do is open more of the bundles first, because if I'm going to buy 3 of a structure deck, that's going to be 1,500 gems, which means I still have 2410 gems to play with. At this point, buying the Duel Pass is actually not a bad idea. If you're about to go into Ranked Ladder, then I think this is the point where it would be good to buy it. I think I'm going to do some solo modes off-screen first with whatever deck we build, though, so I'm not going to get this just yet. Let's definitely get the Effect Veiler bundle. Effect Veiler is pretty similar to Infinite Permanence as far as negating monster effects. I think Infinite Permanence is a little bit better, but Effect Veiler is still a pretty good card. I'm mostly opening these packs. Wow, we got 3 URs here. I'm mostly opening these packs to see if I can get a good direction as far as a pack or a deck to go into. Because depending on how well I open, I could even maybe forego getting a structure deck, but I'd have to open pretty well to do that. Now, we did open Wake Up Your Elemental Hero, which sort of inclines me to playing heroes, although, again, we did that in the last free-to-play challenge, so I don't know if I want to do that again, necessarily. Also, to be fully honest, it has been quite a while since I've played hero. I definitely have to look at a combo guide off-screen before I could play it effectively, but that's not as big of a deal. Alright, so our UR here is École des Zones. I don't think this card's particularly good. I'm going to end up dismantling it. Okay, here's another UR. You know that because it's glowing rainbow. Ryuge Rising. This is actually part of a recent archetype that is not bad. I would call it a rogue deck, but definitely upper rogue. I think it's up there as far as like lesser known, or not lesser known, but less powerful strategies that are still pretty good. But probably not something I'm going to go into. I could also go straight into selection packs if I really did just want to build Ryziel, but I don't think I have quite enough gems yet to, you know, pull enough Ryziel cards. Plus, we do definitely need to focus on staples first. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the deck building section, which I think we're going to end off this video by building our first deck. But again, I'll get into more detail on this a little bit later, but I think generally speaking, it's a lot better to go for staple cards first before going into any one specific deck. Boot Sector Launch is not bad for Dragon Link, which is a fairly good deck. Okay, here's our last guaranteed UR pack. Let's see what's in here. Alright, we got Secret Password. It's part of Live Twin, which is a deck I enjoy quite a bit. Alright, did we get one more surprise UR? No, not a UR, just an SR. But still, 3 URs on top of the Effect Veiler. Definitely won't complain about that. Okay, let's open the Triple Tactics bundle next. I think this card is very, very good, and one that's played in... You can play this in just about any given deck. Again, that's true for all of these cards, but some of these cards you don't necessarily want to play in any deck. I'm thinking of, like, Solemn Judgment. Actually does not see a lot of play at all, despite being one of the bundles here. Lightning Storm is really only good in decks that are going second. So that's another one I would probably hold off on. Alright, I think I saw one guaranteed UR card in this 10 pack, so yeah, here it is. Let's see what we got. We could have a lot of stuff here, potentially. Nah, just one UR. And it's Trishula Zero, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This card is used in Ice Barrier, which is a fine deck, but not one that's, like, particularly great. See. I'm gonna kind of click through these a little more quickly. I still like to, I don't know, for videos, do the little bit of a slow reveal. I could just click skip if I really wanted to, but that's boring. That's not suspenseful. Look at that, we got a UR right there. Let's see what it is. Ignis Phoenix the Draco Slayer. Is this card used in Pendulum Strat? I know a lot of the Draco Slayer cards are used in general Pendulum strategies. I think this is one of them. So it's worth holding on to if we're going for a Pendulum deck, but I don't think I'm going to be going for a Pendulum deck. Alright, so we got at least 2 URs here, which is not horrible. Again, I consider 2 to 3 generally to be average for a 10 pack. Hey, we got a third one right there. All right. Number 15, Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. It's even a glossy, but really only useful for the Gimmick Puppet OTK, which is not something I'm going to be doing for this series. But that's a fine deck. I would consider that upper rogue. Alright, we got one more pack after this. Let's see if we can get one last surprise UR. Maybe? Potentially? No. No last UR, but we got 2 bonus ones, so I will definitely not be complaining. And there's our Triple Tactics talent. Okay, so let's see, 24 minus 750. We could open one more bundle before getting a bunch of structured decks. I think I will actually do that. At this point, I think it's pretty close between Ghost Ogre and Forbidden Droplet. Both of these cards are quite good. Actually, they're both pretty good in the current meta, too, not just in general. I'm going to lean towards Ghost Ogre. I like having more hand traps. Yeah, 1660, we'll still be able to buy 3 structured decks after this. Okay, we got at least 1 UR here. For the bundles, I like seeing at least 1 UR just because, again, you don't get the pity URs if you whiff. Okay, nothing cool here. Yeah, again, you'll notice that I'm not really stopping to note many of the cards that aren't UR, because again, I don't feel like the cards that you open in your first few packs should lock you into whatever deck you're going to play forever, though. Fiendsmith Sequence, though, I will note as a pretty excellent card. The Fiendsmith engine, the Fiendsmith cards, rather, I should say, in general, are very, very good, and you can use them as an engine in a lot of decks, a lot of decks. Okay, here's our UR pack. I was going to say, I think it's coming up here. Alright, let's see what we got. Destiny Hero Dominance. Another hero card. This one I don't think is played. No, 3 Destiny Hero monsters. This one isn't really played in hero decks. So even if you're going for that one, I think you could get rid of that card. Okay, no UR there, unfortunately. Let's see, 4 more packs, including this one. This could be something. Nah, it's just a Gen X Solar. Not a particularly good card. I'm trying to think of, like, noteworthy SR or lower cards. I guess the Fiendsmith stuff, like I pointed out. Something like a DD Crow would be worth noting. Phantasme. trying to think of other SR staples. Okay, last pack. And this last card is not a UR. I think we only got the one there, which is a little bit unlucky. Yeah, just the one, unfortunately. Alright, now that I think about it, unlocking those secret packs might have done some more missions for us. It did. 4 more of them. And that got us another 500 gems. Okay. Yeah, I'll hold off on bundles or packs for now. Now is the time where I think it's good to commit to 3 of a structure deck to go in as our first deck. I gotta do some more thinking off screen though. Let me let me do some brainstorming real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I have made my decision. I think the deck that we're gonna go into is actually gonna be Crimson Power Force for... Actually, here's the main reason, right? So I was looking at the structure deck contents, and we can definitely get away with only getting 2 of this deck as opposed to 3 of the other ones. I know I said that if you're going into a structure deck, you should get all 3 of it, and generally speaking, that's true. But here's the thing, whatever deck I go into here, I'm not going to commit to as like my main deck. And again, you don't have to do that either. You certainly can if you want, but again, don't feel like just because you lock yourself into buying a structure deck, that means you have to play that deck forever, right? No matter what structure deck I pick here, the goal of this account and these videos is going to be to build up to a competitive tiered deck, fully built out. And it's not going to really be any of these. Again, some of these decks are good, but I want to go aim a little bit higher in terms of power level. So that being the case, again, looking at Crimson Power Force, I can get away with only buying 2 of these because that'll give me a total of 3 copies of Crimson Gaia, as well as all the extra deck monsters I need, and the only thing I'll be missing out on is a single copy of Vision Resonator. But while I haven't played this deck ever myself, not even on my main account, I know enough about it to know that you can definitely get away with only 2 Vision Resonator. I'm pretty sure some builds only even play 2, but while it is a fine card to have in your opening hand, you don't need to necessarily have 3. So by only buying 2 of these, I'll be able to save, and we can actually open another bundle too. Alright, so we're gonna buy 2, and that leaves us with 1160 gems left over, which, yeah, like I said, is actually enough to get another bundle here. So let's do that. Not accessories, we want special. And I'm gonna go for the Forbidden Droplet bundle next. I think this card is quite good. Pretty much the order I'm buying these bundles in is the order I would recommend that you buy them in as well. For the last 3, I would get the Ghost Spell bundle first, then Lightning Storm, then Solemn Judgment. Okay, first pack's already looking solid. Got a UR card in it. Whoa, whoa! We actually got not just a UR card, we got an alternate art card. Wow, I was not expecting that. So occasionally, Master Duel will have periods of time where you can get cards that have alternate artwork that isn't usually featured on them, and this is actually one of them for the Ice Barrier deck, which we did actually pull the Trishula for as well, so that's really cool. That might be enough incentive for me to go into the Ice Barrier deck on this account, but if I'm really aiming for a higher competitive deck, then I want to go for something a little more powerful than Ice Barrier. But that is still really cool that we got that. Here's another bonus UR card. This 10 pack's already looking great. Ooh, we got Red Eyes Soul, which unfortunately I don't think is particularly useful in like Dragon Link decks. Yeah. There are better Red Eyes cards you can play in Dragon decks, and Red Eyes decks unfortunately are a known meme in the community for how let's just say not great they are. They do have that potential. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got here. I think Zodia Limb and Mad Reloader are in the same pack. That's kind of fun GX reference. Another bonus UR card? Let's go! Alright, very glad that I went for this here. Neptibus, the Atlantean Prince. Mermaid Atlantean is actually a very competitive deck right now, and not one that I've played before. Might be worth considering. This account would be a nice excuse to play it. Nothing exciting there. Did we already hit our... We might have already hit our guaranteed UR pack. I thought it was more towards the end, but maybe I'm mistaken. I mean, either way, we got at least 2 bonus UR. Okay, yeah, no, here we go. So we got 3 bonus URs in this 10 pack. Let's see what this guaranteed one ends up being. There's a few things here. Appliancer World. Appliancer... it's a cute archetype, but I would firmly call it casual. I don't think it has a ton of competitive merit at all. A couple of Labyrinth SRs too. Labyrinth is a very good deck. And last pack has yet another UR for us. Alright, luck turned around towards the end there. Another Fiendsmith card. Fiendsmith's Requiem. And Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now that's an interesting pull. It's not only another Red Eyes card, but this card can actually be used in a number of different decks, potentially. You would need both Predaplant Vert Anaconda and Red Eyes Fusion to do it, as well as Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. Most decks don't really have that kind of space to be able to afford to play this, but it is at least somewhat generically useful, potentially. Yeah, look at that. 5 URs and only 1 was guaranteed, and the droplet, and one of them was even an alternate artwork. That was an excellent 10-pack. Okay, so I'm done spending gems for now. I think now it's time to go and build our deck here. So let me just delete these other 2. Yeah, this is your starting deck. Totally worthless. Don't even bother with it. And again, whichever of the 3 decks you picked, honestly, at the end of the day, also pretty worthless. Don't worry about building off of that. Crimson Power Force, though. Let's see. Alright. So we definitely want the 2nd Vision Resonator, the 3rd Crimson Gaia. Let's play the 2nd Scarred Dragon Archfiend. I think the 2nd Red Dragon Archfiend would be fine as well as the 3rd one of these. Maybe another one of these. I mean, at this rate for the extra deck, you might as well just toss in 2nd copies of everything, right? For the time being. We'll expand upon this in a moment here. Now, as far as... let's see. I know Crimson Resonator is quite good. I know Soul Resonator is quite good. Bone Archfiend is quite good. I've seen them play this card before. The Wild Wind. I don't think these are particularly good. I don't think these are particularly good. I don't think this is particularly good. I don't think that's particularly good. Discard a Resonator at a level 4 lower Fiend. I don't necessarily think I want that. Absolute Power Force. I think that card's not necessary either. The rest of this, I think, is fine for the time being. Okay, so now let's go ahead and sort by UR. And then we can throw in some of these cards that we got from our bonuses here. We definitely want Ash Blossom, definitely want Imperm, definitely want Nibiru, definitely want the Triple Tack. I'll throw in the Veiler, the Ghost Ogre, and the Droplet. So again, those are all cards that we got from our bundles, and these are what I would call staple cards. Staple cards are cards that can go in any given deck and will be effective in that deck. And I'm actually going to bookmark my staple cards, because that way, let me go ahead and bookmark these and then I'll show you. Bookmarking is just clicking this little symbol right down here. And then where's Imperm? Here we go. And Triple Tack. Now if we go to this symbol here, my staple cards show up, and we can sort these by, I like doing it this way. Wait, that way. There we go. So yeah, now these cards I'm going to be putting in pretty much every single one of my decks, or at least for the most part. I have really easy access to them right over here. Okay, so there are some other cards that we are going to craft that I think are very, very good to have for literally any given deck. So the first one that was not part of a bundle is going to be Max C. This card is semi-limited to 2 copies. You want to put 2 copies of this card in, like Ash Blossom, 95%. Honestly, if you're new to the game, for your purposes, put this in 100% of your decks. Put this in literally every single deck that you play. I'm going to generate not 1, but 2 copies of this. And those are going straight into my deck. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is going to be the next one that I focus on. I only have enough materials to craft one, so let's go ahead and make that. And I'll add that copy to the deck. Now's the part where I'm going to start going to my UR cards that I pulled that I'm not going to use, and we're going to start dismantling some of those. Now, as far as like, actually, we're going to go to dismantle selected cards here. Now, as far as like, should I keep a UR card? Should I dismantle it? That's something that's, again, always going to require knowledge and or research. But it is worth noting that if you ever don't want to dismantle a card, you can, where is it? You click on it. Oh, you actually do it, here we go. Designated don't dismantle. Yeah, you can put cards in here to make sure that you don't ever accidentally, well, of course, dismantle them. Let me get rid of my filters here. I don't know why the rest of these aren't showing up. Like my triple tactics talent and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's how you do that. So, let me filter this again by UR. And we'll go to dismantle selected. And yeah, now you can see these ones that I locked. I can't accidentally pick them. So Red Eye's Soul isn't really used in any competitive decks, at least not ones I'm interested in. So we'll get rid of that. Same with the Appliancer World. Same with the Destiny Hero Dominance. I'll get rid of a Cold Zone. I'll get rid of the Testina card, the Noble Knight card, the Subterra card. Now that's all stuff that I would say, even on my main account, I would just probably never end up using any of these. Some of these other ones do have some more competitive merit to them. So I might keep them for the time being. Again, as I was about to say, if you're ever like trying to figure out whether a UR card is something you should keep or dismantle, research and experience are going to be your best tools. But if you just want to ask somebody, you can always come to our Discord server and we'll be glad to help you out. So if you're just starting off your collection, like if this was my only account, this was brand new, I would probably keep the rest of these. For the purposes of this free-to-play account, I will be getting rid of some of this extra stuff here, like the Dragoons. Yeah. Pretty much all this. I'll keep the Underworld Goddess, because this card is actually quite good. But even my alt art, I think I will end up getting rid of that. Again, if this were my main account, I would absolutely be keeping that. Or if this were, yeah, just my main account, I would have kept all those cards. But here, this is going to be a bunch of UR craft points for us. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those, and we'll make some more staples. We're going to make that third Ash Blossom. Throw that in. Next up, I'm going to make more copies of Infinite Impermanence. We're going to make 2 more of that. And we can add those in. And now we're at 40 cards. And I'm actually pretty satisfied with these 40 cards here. Although we could maybe do a little bit more optimization for the extra deck. I don't know though, because actually, you know what? There is one card that I know we can craft that'll go in just about every single extra deck. This I would also consider a staple. SP Little Knight. You can make it using any 2 effect monsters. If you use it with an extra, if you make it using one of these types of monsters, you can banish a card in the field, and has another really handy on-field banish effect. Now, granted, there are a lot of cards in this deck that lock you into only being able to summon Dark Synchro monsters. I think actually it's going to be more like this, right? Yeah. No, wait, hang on. I just saw... Oh, it's Soul Resonator. Yeah, Dark Synchro monsters. That said, I do think this card is still worth putting in a deck like this, because even if we're not making it on our first turn, we could still make it on like the second turn, and it would be really good follow-up. Plus, we'll not only be playing it in this deck, but this card, among all extra deck cards, I think is one you will play by far the most in your deck. So it's a very safe craft. I'm going to go ahead and make an SP Little Knight here. Alright, and we don't need 2 of these. We can take that out. So I'll click save. You'll notice that by crafting that, I got a little exclamation point here. That is because I got a free pull from a secret pack. Sometimes if you craft SR or UR cards, you'll get free pulls from secret packs. That's actually something that I can get into here in a moment. You know what? I'll start off the next video with that. We'll talk about how to get a bunch of free packs by generating a bunch of SR and UR cards, or just not even UR cards, only SR cards. If we manage to pull an IP Masquerader from this pack, that would be insane. Because that's another really good generic kind of staple A card, but nah. Okay, so I think that this is a pretty good jumping off point. Actually, I think we might want a third Crimson Resonator, right? Maybe we'll take out one of these and put in one of these. Well, no, because you summon this from your deck, I think, or something. Anyway. Yeah, this is a good starting point here, and that's actually where I'm going to end off this first video. So in the next free-to-play video, I'm not only going to show you a trick in order to get a bunch of free secret packs, we'll start off the video with that as I mentioned, but I'm going to be taking this deck to Ranked Ladder, and I am going to be seeing just how far we can get with this very basic starting deck. But as you can see, without even playing a single duel in solo mode or Ranked Ladder, we were able to get ourselves a very solid starting deck with a bunch of very important staple cards. And as always, we didn't have to spend a single dime. But definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always looking for recommendations or suggestions, not only in general, but especially for a series like this. If there are any tips you want me to cover, if there's anything you think I missed that you want me to talk about, if you have any confusions as a newer player, definitely feel free to let me know, and I will try to address them in as timely a manner as possible. But that's going to do it for now. Thank you so very much for checking out this video and this series. Again, if you're new to Master Duel and new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by, and feel free to check out some more videos. I make a ton of guides for these competitive decks, as well as our previous free-to-play series, so please feel free to check that out. But that's going to do it for now. Let us move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.